I seriously hope that it's not gonna be much longer of me referencing back to the injury that I sustained a week ago while doing the Romanian deadlifts, and I will go back into assessing each session on its own merits and not in regards to what happened before, simply because it's boring and it's not fun. But I would be remiss if I didn't do my due diligence, and not taking things seriously could lead to a very slippery slope. So I will still be tracking how I feel a week after the occurrence, and I was very happy to say that even the day after that moment, I was able to get some sprinting drills in. I wasn't really doing any sprinting, just a few starts, a couple of steps, and the usual switches, the usual A skips, that kind of low intensity stuff that is very good at preparing for something a bit harder, which was what I was doing at the beginning of this session here, and that culminated in 2 sets of sprints. I guess 2 sprints. Why do I call them sets? There's one sprint is 1 set, so that's a bit lame. So I did 2 sprints. The previous week, the week before, when I was still injury free, I did 3. So the previous week has kind of taught me that I should probably tailoring things down, especially since I'm still in a deficit and I will be until the end of the month. So taking volume with a bit of a more cautious approach is probably a good thing. But the 2 sprints felt good. I wasn't feeling any discomfort at all in the low back, and there isn't really any rotational force at hand running forward. There may be some, but not to the extent that I am feeling anything compromised down in the low back. And I feel like my forward posture is decent enough. I'm not really hunching forward like I've seen many videos on YouTube, kind of decrying against the position that I'm assuming when I'm sprinting in the first few steps. Although I'm not really leaning forward as much as I could and probably should, is a competent one. So that was good. Then I moved into the gym where I was doing some overhead work mostly. It was overhead presses, the usual 40 kilos. I'm not really pushing anything while I'm still on this kind of cut of sorts. So 40 kilos, 2 sets. First one was 6 reps, second one was 5. And I believe that the previous time I did 6 reps on both sets. Again, staying a bit conservative in this like a week after the back tweak, just to be on the safe side of things. I think that 2 sets, they were both at feeling pretty hard, close to failure. The second set, actually, the 5th rep was a bit slower than I would have expected, but I'm not really concerned about that. As soon as I'll start eating back again, it will probably be a few weeks away from when the injury occurred, so hopefully by then everything will be back to normal. So after these 2 sets, working sets on the overhead press, I went upstairs to get some extra volume and work for the shoulders mainly. I noticed that this session here, when I'm doing sprints for the lower body and then some upper body work in vertical pressing, let's call it, it's a very good pairing, and it really keeps things sweet and short and sweet, and still gives me something that I feel is very beneficial. This is a session where I'm getting some explosive stuff for the lower body and all the drills that come before that, and then some heavy work relative to my capabilities on a big compound movement, some isometric stuff where I'm also honing the skills of the handstands, and a bit of extra volume work for the shoulder, for a bit higher repetition. So I think that the approach for this like shoulder session, if I can call that, is pretty comprehensive while staying low on the exercise selection. I'm not trying to be a minimalist or anything. I just think that if I'm training every day, it's very useful to have the right amount of exercises to get the job done. Nothing less, but nothing more. Ciao.